Spider-Man Brand New Day spoiler review. I'm going to be getting into everything, so this is your official spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. So, Sadie Sink's character, is she Jean Grey? Yes, she is, and she is the villain of this movie. She plays a big part of this movie. There are a couple other villains, but she is the main plot point. So she will be presumably in the X-Men movie, which kind of they nod to at the end of the movie. But let's start with her character. She is Jean Grey. She is pretty much reading people, kind of like warping into people's minds, taking over them, controlling them. She takes over Scorpion's mind in the beginning of the movie, and this is kind of the lead plot point of the movie, is her trying to get to damage control and looking for something called the VMAX. We don't know what it is, but that's what she's searching for. And so I guess I'll go character to character and kind of break down the movie. The movie starts out, we're about 4 years since the last movie. We know this because his friends are graduating MIT, and he's going through a bit of a problem, like they say on the trail, the metamorphosis. So he's kind of like having problems. He's starting to transform. He's getting natural webs in his arms. He's getting a little bit stronger, his eyes. So they don't do the full man spider thing, which I was kind of hoping for from the animated show. But they do kind of, those are the main plot points, I would say, or three would be Jean Grey, his friends, and everything with the spell, and then kind of the metamorphosis stuff. Going character to character, let's start with the Punisher. The Punisher was really good in this movie. I have kind of been hard on Bernthal because he's kind of does like the voicing, and I think it's almost kind of become a gimmick. But he was really good in this movie. I don't think the cursing matters at all coming from Punisher One Last Kill to this. I thought it was really funny. I thought the humor worked. I really would have preferred to not know he was in this movie, but this really, really felt like a comic book of characters working together. I really, really enjoyed it. The Hulk stuff. We finally got Rage Hulk again. This is the character I really wish wasn't in the movie. I don't think it was necessary at all to put him in the trailer. But basically, Peter approaches him at his professor job at Empire State University to try and kind of work on a solution to this. The fight happens because Jean Grey basically gets into his mind, and she kind of struggles, which I think is another good thing, that she kind of struggles getting into the more powerful characters' minds like Spider-Man and Hulk, and kind of causes him to rage out. Now, the part that I love, because I was really getting nervous, I did not want Spider-Man to beat the Hulk in a fight. That could not happen. He could not take any L's. This was, I guess, ended in a draw, but the Hulk absolutely won this fight. He was going to kill Spider-Man, and then Peter was eventually able to just get into his mind, similar to Black Widow, and kind of make him kind of get weaker. I guess more spoilers in this movie. I guess, you know what, let's kind of start I guess we'll do post-credit scene at the end, but there was a post-credit scene that I think mattered a lot that I don't think enough people are talking about. There's a really, really good montage very early in the movie, which normally I don't like, but this was very good. Him kind of rounding up and fighting a bunch of different characters. He's fighting Scorpion in the snow, which I thought was very cool. There was a very, very quick scene to Tombstone, like very quick. He's barely in this movie for like a few seconds, so I'd like to see him again. Him fighting the Hand, that shot of him jumping off the building, which we thought, oh, is other characters in this shot? Is Daredevil in this shot? No, it's just him jumping off the building at the Hand. Daredevil is not in this movie. Kingpin's not in this movie. The fight at the end of the movie when he's fighting the Hand is in Damage Control headquarters. So there's nothing really, obviously we have the Punisher, but there's no connection to Daredevil still. There's no connection to Kingpin. They don't allude to it at all. Well, I should say there was a connection to Daredevil last movie. He was in the movie, but it wasn't really connected to his universe, I mean. The big kind of emotional point of this movie is with him and MJ. He spends a lot of time with her. She doesn't remember him. And then there's a scene where you think she remembers him. They're on a rooftop scene. And really it's just Jean Grey kind of getting into her mind and pretending to be her. And it's this whole emotional moment, but it's really just her playing mind games with him. And so this movie is really about Peter going through the metamorphosis stuff. They didn't make him like extremely poor, which I like. Like he's not living like royalty, but he has way too much tech to be poor. So you can't have him using like AI tech and Iron Man tech and then be like, oh, well, actually, he's really poor. So he's struggling like mentally, but he's not like super, super broke like Toby was. One of the big surprises of the movie was Black Widow's in this movie, Florence Pugh. And these are the kind of scenes that I love. I always go back to the scene that Falcon is in the original Ant-Man movie, one of my favorite scenes in the MCU, because it really feels like a comic book. Like, just bring in, this is how you connect the MCU. Just have cameo scenes, bring in your actors, have them meet each other, and this does a lot of the heavy lifting for the Avengers movies. Again, you don't even have to have them fighting. This is a simple scene. There's no CGI. They're just talking. It was funny. It was good. And like I said, it was good that this was a surprise. I wish that the Hulk and the Punisher fights were also a surprise. So Mr. Milchick, who is from Severance, who you probably know, plays kind of the head of damage control. And we find out basically he is really kind of like the villain of this movie above Jean Grey. He's been experimenting on her and her older sister. That's kind of what motivated her to this whole movie to try and find her older sister, which we find out. And it kind of leads, they're doing experimental tests on her, and eventually she just gets so powerful. She breaks through like the experimental glass, and she takes over like the entire city's mind. So we're starting to see her power. And the movie, I guess, ends with Spider-Man eventually finding her and kind of talking her down. She goes into Spider-Man's mind, and she has a conversation with Aunt May. And I think this was a really good scene, bringing Marissa Tomei back. And it was just a great balance in this movie of like emotional scenes and also good action scenes, good Spider-Man stuff. Nothing lingered on too much. I think everything was effective. And you think the movie's about to end, but the Punisher has a sniper rifle and doesn't know any of this is going on, and takes a shot, and Spider-Man saves her and gets hit in the back. And eventually he ends up in the hospital. And this is also like, this is what's good at the movie, is like the action kind of leads into the plot line that's funny. So he's in the hospital, and he's got his mask on. He wants to take his mask off. And eventually he kind of sneaks out, and there's a very funny scene. The Punisher puts on the Spider-Man mask and is kind of waving. And then they cut to him, and he's doing like the as he's waving. So I thought that was very funny. And then the very, very ending of the movie, two big scenes at the end of the movie. One, Jean Grey on a bus. I don't know if everyone picked this up. She's clearly headed to upstate New York. That's where, that's like really like what driving upstate looks like with all the trees. And she's clearly headed, in my opinion, to the X-Men school, Professor Xavier's school, Professor X. So that's really exciting. I thought, like I said, another really, really good scene. That's how you build the MCU, just little scenes like that. And then the post-credit scene, it's not a mid-credit scene, at the very, very end, the post-credit scene. Ned has a spider tracker, and it kind of shows Spider-Man deep in space. And I think this is our first real teaser for Secret Wars. A lot of people in the theater didn't get it. I think this is clearly showing him on Battleworld, just in the middle of space. And so I thought that was really cool. We're not going to get him in Doomsday. I think we're going to get him in Secret Wars. So those are all like the really major spoilers, I'd say. You know, the Punisher stuff, the Hulk, Florence Pugh, she's Jean Grey. And I just love this movie. I talk about it in my non-spoiler review, but the cinematography, the fighting scenes, the web swinging was great. I think Tom Holland does just a great job of his acting. I think you really can tell him being depressed. I think he does, honestly, a better job in this movie than he did in The Odyssey, surprisingly. But just a really, really good movie. You know, those were the main spoiler points. And it's just everything that I wanted. You know, I'm going to do, I guess my last video will be an updated ranking. Where do I put this? I really think this is like the third. I can't put it any lower than the third live action movie. I have this ahead of Homecoming. I have it obviously ahead of the two Andrew movies. I have it ahead of No Way Home, Far From Home. Like, I have to, only Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 I think I can put ahead of this right now. But I gotta watch this movie again. It's just tough to put it ahead of those Tobey movies, but I think it's in the top 3 for me. If I'm including the Spider-Verse movies, then it gets really tricky. Then it might be 5. But even then, it's in the top 5 of the 11 projects. So it's certainly really, really good. I'm really like, I don't understand the people who don't like this movie. I hate the criticism that there isn't a big bad. I think it's just, I hate that people say nothing happened in this movie. The entire point of this movie is to watch 2.5 hours of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. That's exactly what we got. This is a great Spider-Man story. Just because there isn't a traditional big bad that he fights at the end, we need different types of movies. I want to get different types of Spider-Man movies. So I just vehemently disagree that nothing happened. I think that's terrible analysis. I really do. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I really, really love this movie. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.